Vyas Media Network.
So, Greg, what brought you to Nepal?
Okay, well, my girlfriend and I, we decided last November to go just take a whole entire year of traveling abroad. I'm 35 right now, and it's like family is on the horizon. And from a very young age, I've just loved traveling. And because family is on the horizon, I want to get like kind of my travel itch out before I need to be somewhere and with children and take care of somebody in a consistent environment. I've always dreamed of being like untethered and going from like one place to the other. And so my girlfriend and I were taking our time and choosing places that are quote unquote difficult to travel to with children. And so we started like in Ethiopia and Oman, and we did a tuk-tuk race through India, which you couldn't do with like a newborn baby. And then, we're going all over the world right now. And we wanted to do like a multi-day trek in Nepal, for example. And so, the mountains, the Himalayas brought us here. The mountains have always just been something that's attracted me.
You said you also traveled a lot as a child, right? Like,
Yeah.
what was traveling like as a child for you?
Yeah, I mean, my parents, from a very young age, have always encouraged me to travel. And one way of doing that is they put me in a Spanish immersion program when I think I was like Salamanca, Spain. And I spent like 2 months in Spain on my own.
How old were you?
I think I was like 15 years old or something like
okay.
that. And everybody in the program was paired up with a Spanish household. And one thing led to the other, and I was paired in like a residencia. So I had complete freedom. It was almost like a hostel. So people from all over the world were in the residencia. And I didn't have a curfew. I could go out whenever I wanted. I was completely independent at that time. And it was kind of unique for me in the program where I could just roam around. And at that point in time, I met a Hungarian girl, and like it was just like, I felt freedom and I felt internationalism, and it was just like, all I wanted to do is go to Europe and see more of it.
What was one big thing you learned about yourself during that time in Spain?
Yeah, I think,
at least for me, like teenagehood, especially in the later years, you start to really develop a good sense of who you are, what you're going to be, what you're kind of heading for, right?
Yeah.
And I think experience like that can be very transformative.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think I realized that the thirst for adventure is like, will be with me for the rest of my life. Like it was like being in Spain at such a young age. It's like, I just wanted more of it. And it was like insatiable. Like I was never satisfied with it. And I kept on wanting more and more and more of it. So, that's.
How long was that for? How long were you in Spain?
I think it was like two months or something or so.
What's it like to experience that kind of freedom at 15 and then have to go back home and deal with curfews? And because I experienced it personally, I'm studying in Norway right now.
Yeah.
And then like there as well, it's a lot of freedom. There's no curfew as such. There's no, like you can do what you want basically to a certain degree. And then you come home and you love your parents, you meet them, and I love your mom and dad, but then there's like, okay, well, I'm not just on my own anymore. I have like to think about other things. I have to go where my family wants me to go. It's not all about me now, right? Keeping in mind that I was gone for like a year and you were gone for only 2 months.
Yeah.
But did you feel different when you came back home?
Yeah, I definitely did. And, coming from the United States, I think I grew up in a very nuclear family where like I got grounded. There were rules. So for me, it was such a dramatic juxtaposition of my life in Spain versus my life back at home. So it almost felt like I was going back to like, hate to say it, but like going back to like a jail, you know, but, and all I wanted to do is to like break free of that, you know, it's like kind of like a rebellion.
After that experience, when's the next time that you broke free?
Yeah. So I went to high school, and then eventually I got into University of Wisconsin. And so University of Wisconsin is a public university on the complete other side of the United States. I'm originally from California, and I was just like a puppy out of its cage. And like, I just went kind of like crazy the first couple of years that I was there. I didn't really know how to operate with so much freedom, because I think I just took for granted how much was given to me growing up, you know, and I feel I just had so much freedom, and all I wanted to do is express that and say yes to everything. And I love that element about myself, but sometimes when you say yes too much, it can be a problem.
Now that you're 35, and we can say that you've experienced a lot more freedom now, right? Knowing what freedom is to you. Okay, let's start with that first. What do you think freedom is to you?
Yeah, freedom is the ability to make decisions and the ability to like experience the consequence of those decisions as well. You know, some people make decisions and they don't have the freedom to really understand how those decisions actually affect other people. So the freedom to do them and the freedom to understand the consequences.
Do you think freedom is always like a good thing?
Yeah, I'm a freedom maximalist.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I always think I think people shouldn't tell other people what to do, no matter what. Like, people should be free to choose.
I get that. Like, you kind of discover your own path.
Yeah, or
not
even
be limited.
Say what they want to say. You know, I'm a free speech maximalist. I think that like whatever's on the internet should be posted on the internet. And people have the freedom to react to what people say as well. You know.
So the earlier question that I was actually trying to hint at was, now that you've experienced all this freedom, and then you go back to your 18-year-old self who's just about to get out that cage and experience the world for what it is, you know?
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
I would probably say slow down.
Yeah.
Slow down, like that. You know, for some reason, I think, and I still go through this today, is that I feel like I don't have enough time to do everything that I want in my life. And I would tell that 18-year-old to slow down and really kind of connect with what you really want in life, you know. I'm really happy where I've ended up in my life, but I think at that age I was just saying yes to everything and just kind of sliding. And one of kind of like the mental models that I think about now is, are you sliding or are you deciding with your life? And I think at that age, I was just sliding into experiences, sliding into decisions. And now that I'm older and I'm wiser, I can sit back and really take the time to decide on what I really want.
Do you regret all that sliding? Because for me, I feel like that sort of recklessness is necessary, you know? Like, for me at 17, I can be pretty reckless.
Yeah.
But I always tell myself that this is your time to be reckless.
Yeah.
Because later on, things will come where you have to slow down and you have to decide and not slide, right?
Yeah.
Maybe that is a very naive and stupid way of thinking about the world. But what do you think? Do you think those experiences were good, or would you change that?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's like 100% good, but I'm super grateful for all of the sliding and recklessness that I've gone through. It's given me perspective, you know, and wisdom. And I think knowledge is just learning what doesn't work, right? And so through all of the sliding and recklessness that I've went through, I've gained knowledge.
Yeah.
Hell no, I'm so happy.
What got you from Wisconsin all the way to Europe in Amsterdam?
Yeah, so after Wisconsin, I moved back to Los Angeles, and I was in LA for 2 or 3 years, I believe. And I started my work at Belkin International, which is it's a tech company that was founded by a man named Chet Pipkin in 1983, and he created like the Apple Macintosh 2's first printer cables. So it's an accessory company for mostly Apple products, but they also did PC products as well. And I started working for them as a product manager, and for 2 years I was working at the headquarters, and I was making phone cases with the entire team, and we were doing partnerships with like Lego and Vans and all of that. And I was pretty successful at it, navigating the headquarters, and I learned about the product development process. And then eventually I got promoted within the organization, and then I moved to a different team called the Apple team. And this team was dedicated to helping the Apple account. So it's like the entire Apple organization across the world. And my mentor at the time, his name is Eric Burgers, and he had been working for Belkin for many years. And Burgers is a Dutch last name. It's actually pronounced Burgers. And he had lived in Amsterdam for a couple of years, and he recognized my thirst to be international. And he saw that there was a job opening, and he actually invited me to go and move across to Europe and help out with the Apple account in Europe. Oh. So I was kind of following in his footsteps, and I really respect Eric. He's an incredibly smart person, and kind of sliding into the decision because I had never been to Amsterdam. We flew out to Amsterdam one week, and we experienced the city together, and I absolutely fell in love. I thought it was going to be like a 2 or 3 year sort of stay, and since then I've been out there for 8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
What about Amsterdam just keeps you there? What about it made you fall in love, and what keeps you there?
Yeah. So many things. It's like the perfect size city. So I think right now there's only like 800 to 900,000 inhabitants for Amsterdam. And you can bike from one side of the city to the other in 15 minutes. And because of that, it's the most social city of all time. I see my friends on a weekly basis 2 or 3 times per week. So coming from LA, where you're driving from one point to the other, it's just like a complete 180 on how like the social life is constructed. And on top of that, it's the most international city I've ever been to. So I have Portuguese, I have German friends, I have Italian friends, I have people from all over the world who I'm interacting with on a daily basis. And that kind of bohemian vibe is what drives me back to the city.
I mean, hearing you and Lena talk about Amsterdam, it makes me want to go, Like we've talked about this, but I was like, when I graduate, I'm definitely going to come to Amsterdam. Because it feels like such a freeing place, like such an open place where there's so much to do in such a small space. I mean, we were talking about the boating, right?
Yeah.
The boating, it looks incredible, like boating down the canals. Literally, your house, you have a house, and then outside your house there's a canal where a boat can be parked at any moment. Like, that's an incredible life.
Yeah, it's magical. Like the city is magical in itself, and the buildings are from like the 1600s. And you picked up something that's like totally the theme of the city. It's the most free city. It's the most liberal city. You can be whoever you want there, and nobody will really care, and people laugh sometimes because it'll be like Saturday morning and somebody's been out all night and then they're wearing like a crazy sort of outfit, but nobody cares, right? Nobody really cares as long as you're free and as long as you're happy there.
Honestly, Amsterdam reminds me of UWC, the school I go to right now. Super international, super judgment free, super liberal, super like do whatever you want. You do I'll do my thing, we do your thing, and we live together almost in this happy bubble.
Yeah.
Would you say that Amsterdam's kind of like a bubble?
100%. And there needs to be more places like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that you're like traveling the different worlds of, like you're just traveling around the world now, right? How does coming from Amsterdam and your perspective on the world change as you travel the world?
Yeah, I'm just grateful, right? I'm really grateful for the city I slid into. You know, I had no idea that I would find somewhere that I really connect with so much, you know, and other places I do connect with, especially like Kathmandu. Like Kathmandu is an incredible city, but Amsterdam is home. And it's just like it reinforces my love for home.
This might be a really personal question and you don't have to answer it, but do you see yourself living forever in Amsterdam, or do you see yourself moving somewhere else?
I can see myself living in Amsterdam forever. I don't know if that will happen. The only thing is, like I talked about earlier, that how I came to Nepal originally for the Himalayas, and the mountains called me all the time. I'm a huge trail runner. So in Amsterdam, like one of the downsides is that I'm like running through industrial parks versus, you know, beautiful trails where I could be running in the Alps, for example.
You brought it up, but your trail running, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
180 kilometers of running, that's absurd. How do you get into it?
Yeah. So, I mean, just step by step, I ran my first marathon, and I think it was like 2017. And I ran my first marathon because at that time I moved to Amsterdam, and I thought it was really cool, but it's not really cool. I started smoking cigarettes and because all the Europeans around me were smoking, and I was trying to fit in. I felt really insecure about being a foreigner going into a new city. And I needed like an outlet to stop. And so I just started running, and I was thinking about adventure and journeys, and, you know, thinking about how your life could just be so much better if you take on a new challenge. And I decided to sign up for the Geneva Marathon. I completed that with a friend. And
how long is is it standard marathon?
Standard marathon.
42 kilometers.
42K.
We say it like it's nothing, but once you run 180, like 42 must be like,
Yeah. At that time, it was really painful. It took me 4 hours and 19 minutes to do, which is, I would laugh at that time now. But it was an incredible experience because I felt really nice to push your body to its limits.
Were you smoking while training? Like, were you still an avid smoker while training for the marathon?
Yeah, I was. Yeah.
How old were you when you smoked your first cigarette? If you don't like...
Oh, if my parents listen to this, they're going to be pretty mad at me. But I think I was like 15 years old when
15.
I did. Yeah.
Was in Spain?
Yeah, it was actually in Spain. Yeah. So funny that you say that. Yeah. That's funny.
And then what made you quit?
I think coming from California, I came from a really active community in LA. It's just nobody smokes there, and from a very young age, it's drilled in your head how unhealthy it is. And I kind of saw that, and I kind of felt it too, like in my lungs. And so I really wanted to quit really badly, and I did. So,
do you remember that first cigarette you smoked?
Yeah.
Can you recall it?
I didn't like it, yeah.
You didn't like it?
No. But then eventually I kind of wanted to fit in and blend in with the Spaniards at that age. And then lo and behold, I had to get through that.
Yeah. Did you, how long did it take for you to quit?
Off and on, like, I want to say 3 or 4 years or so.
3 or 4 years, okay. Yeah. That's not like too bad.
Yeah.
Compared to some other people, you know?
Yeah.
When it comes to running, how do you train for let's just start with your first running. Like what was the camp like for your first marathon?
So a traditional marathon training plan, it's usually like 3 days per week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you're running around like 30 to hour 15 per each day. And we call those like the maintenance runs. And then on Saturdays is your long run. And that can be anywhere from an hour 30 to up to 3 hours for a traditional marathon training plan. And then for an ultra marathon training plan, it's basically the same thing, but on Sunday you have like a medium run. So that could be anywhere from like an hour 15. And during those times, all I'm doing is listening to podcasts, and I'm just pounding content left and right. And for me, I just use it as like kind of like my own time to learn, right? Learn on top of getting fit. It's kind of like a dual purpose sort of outlet.
I feel like with running, they get this sort of feeling, this sort of high when they run.
Yeah.
Can you describe it?
Yeah. It comes ever so often. It
Yeah.
doesn't come all the time, but when I get that feeling, it feels like I could do anything in this world, right? And that feeling comes, maybe in the beginning of my run, maybe at the end, maybe in the middle. There's no like designated time to it, but it just feels like my brain is clicked. I'm relaxed. I'm in focus. I'm in a flow state. Sometimes I even get that after I finish a race, and that's a huge sense of accomplishment. And I'm not chasing that feeling, but it's part of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. I feel like, I know, whenever I run, I don't get the same feeling you do. It does feel good, but it only feels good for the first 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Then you start feeling the stitches, the cramps.
Yeah.
Start feeling tired, sweaty.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, you're doing this like week in, week out. Like you said, you're running light runs. On the weekend, you're running heavy runs.
Yeah.
Right? On the day, let's say it's Saturday, where you have the heavy run and you wake up and you just don't feel it. You just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
What motivates you to still go and chase that feeling?
What motivates me?
Yeah.
It's just the understanding that pain is temporary. I think that's a huge lesson I've gained from, running these long distances, is that pain is always changing. It's never going to last with you forever. And that's it goes hand in hand with that sort of realization that you can do anything that you want, because you're going to have short-term pain. But yeah, if you just put your time and effort into it, you'll get through that.
For you, what was it like? Because running a marathon in and of itself is an achievement.
Yeah.
Like for some people, if they ran a marathon, that would be a really big achievement for them.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. If I ran a marathon, I wouldn't stop talking about it.
Yeah.
What made you be like, no, this is not enough. Let's go for an ultra marathon, 180 kilometers,
Yeah.
What makes you push yourself like that?
Yeah, it's going back to that Spanish Greg, right? It's the pursuit of the journey, the pursuit of the adventure. I read this book called Born to Run by, I think his name is, the author is Christopher McDonald or Christopher McDougall. And it's about the stories of, famous ultra runners and also a tribe in Mexico. And I was reading that book and I was like, oh my God, these people are running 100 miles at a time. And I was like, imagine if I could do that. And then, I was just so inspired that I signed up for a 55 kilometer or 34 mile race in Iceland. And I convinced two of my friends to sign up with me. And, I followed a training plan, and I ran the race, and it was absolutely amazing. It was like an 8-hour race, and I was hooked. I was hooked.
How long did it take you to finish 180 kilometers?
So yeah, I've ran over 100 miles, I think 4 or 5 times in my life.
5 times.
4 or 5 times. And
That's insane.
yeah, there was one race in Mexico called the Wixarica 180 kilometer. They only had it 1 year because it was such a shit show. Everybody was getting lost. The trail wasn't well marked. So they took out the 180 kilometer distance, and they only now have 100K. Yeah.
Only.
Yeah. So I think that one took me 43 hours. That was like the longest I had.
43 hours.
Because I kept on getting lost. It was in intense heat. Yeah.
You're not running for 43 hours straight. Like, do you sleep? Like, is there a camp? Is there a certain place you have to run to every day? Or
Yeah.
is it broken up over days? How does that work?
Yeah, it's continuous. So
It's continuous.
yeah, it's continuous, but there's aid stations along the way.
Okay.
And each aid station, they have like food, they have medical staff. You can take your time at the aid station. So you'll be at the aid station anywhere from 30 seconds to even like 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe an hour if you're not.
That all counts towards your time.
Yeah, that all counts to your time.
That's insane. So
Yeah.
you didn't sleep for 43 hours. You were just
Exactly.
running.
It's a lot of caffeine. And so like my caffeine strategy is I withhold from drinking caffeine like 2 weeks before the race.
Okay.
And on race day, around like halfway through, I'll drink a cup of coffee and it'll be like jet fuel.
What's your go-to source of caffeine? Is it coffee?
Coffee for sure.
Yeah. Is coffee in Amsterdam good?
Oh, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's almost world class. Not as good as Kathmandu. No,
Yeah.
I'm just joking. No, I think Amsterdam has some of the best coffee in the world. Yeah.
I'm not a big coffee drinker, so you can't tell me on that, but
Yeah.
it's good to know.
Well, there's a lot of good other things.
Yeah. We'll leave that for later.
Yeah.
Outside the podcast.
Yeah.
When you're training for your marathon, you're running every day,
Yeah.
but that's not your life. You
Yeah.
have a job, you have friends, like you said. Amsterdam, it's a very social place.
Yeah.
You're a very social person.
Yeah.
How do you balance all your aspects of life when training for, forget the marathon, for like an ultra marathon, for
Yeah.
running for 43 hours straight?
Yeah. To be completely honest, I'm not perfect, you know? So I try to balance as much as possible, you know, but I look for telltale signs if I'm investing too much in work or if I'm investing too much in social life, and I look for those signs and then I try to rebalance.
Yeah.
I don't have it perfect. I'm not a perfect person. And it's a continuous, you know, lesson on how to like really find out what's important in your life.
What are some major sacrifices you just recall and remember making during those camps?
During those, what do you mean, those camps?
Like the training before that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think, I'm running every Saturday morning, so for hours, right? And most of my friends are either sleeping in, hanging out with each other, or working on side projects. And it's just me out there, usually by myself, running in the rain or the heat. It's just a time commitment. And there's been a lot of times also before races where I have to, you know, stay in, be by myself. And sometimes I feel like I'm a monk or I'm not talking to people.
Do you almost feel like you reach a meditative state when you're running continuously?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, that feeling of that runner's high is that meditative state, I believe.
What kind of stuff are you thinking about when you're running?
That's a really good question.
Let's not say at the start. At the start, you're on a high. You just you're like, I'm going to do this, right? Let's say 15, 20 hours in, you're tired. The caffeine is wearing off. You're like, what's going through your brain?
Yeah, so you're saying like during the race. So if it's like in the middle of the race, a lot of times I think about the future or the past, right? The past, just thinking about like how my life was or the most recent experiences, but in the future, like what do I want to do when I'm done with this race? Mm-hmm. You know, planning, thinking about business concepts, thinking about activities I can do with my friends and family. But then when it gets later onto the race and I'm just like completely pooped and spent, I'm doing math problems in my head. I'm going like, I have 25% left, or I have 20% left. I have 10 kilometers. I have 8 kilometers left, or I have like 2 miles left. And I'm constantly converting miles to kilometers and doing percentages and fractions and just to give me the feeling of progress. And I try to gamify it in my own head.
I get that, but I don't do that while I'm running. I do that like during a car ride.
Yeah.
The last minute of the car ride, you're almost there. You're like, 50% left, 25% left.
Yeah.
How would you describe, you ran an ultramarathon, you said 5 times now, right?
Well, no, ultramarathon is anything that's over a marathon. So you can run like a 55-kilometer race.
Yeah.
And that's considered an ultramarathon.
Okay.
But I think I've done a 100-mile race like 4 or 5 times in my life.
How would you describe the feeling you get the first time you cross the finish line at the 100-mile race?
Exhaustion. Absolutely exhaustion.
You just can't think.
Yeah. I think the first time I finished it took me 29 hours to do it. And all I wanted to do is just go sleep. It wasn't like the fatigue of running. It's like just sleep deprivation.
You're 29 hours up.
Yeah.
And you're not just up, you're running. Like, it's not. When like after you rested, did you feel that moment of I did it? Like when did that moment come? Did it come later than you expected? The feeling of actually accomplishment.
Because there's such a physical reaction to pushing your body through all of that when I finish, I just want to get rest and get fed. I'm so super hungry. But when this first race specifically, I felt that like grand feeling of accomplishment only till when I was in the plane and could look out the window and see the landscape below, because I was rested and I can really reflect on what I went through. And this 29 hours, it feels like 2 weeks you're out there. You know? And
I assume, it feels like forever because you're not sleeping. You're just running. Like it's very repetitive.
Yeah.
At some point, right?
Very repetitive. Yeah. So, it's a surreal sort of experience to look out the plane's window and look at the landscape below.
While you were running these marathons, were you working with Belkin at the time as well?
Yeah.
So let's transition back into that. And I really wanted to talk to you about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and AI because you're a big fanatic in that.
Yeah, that's right.
How did you get interested and hooked on? Let's start with AI.
AI. For me in AI, I'm just fascinated with just all the practical applications for my own life. And I'm also like really excited at keeping up with it and just like the rate of change. I really am hopeful that all these AI innovations are going to make the world a better place. I think there's too much conversation about how AI is going to take over, people are going to lose their jobs and all of that. And I think the average person is going to benefit so much from it. And yes, we need to be mindful of all of that. But for me personally, it's given me so much knowledge. Like I use ChatGPT is basically like my personal tutor, and I've learned so many topics just about life.
How is your as you use ChatGPT more?
Yeah. How
has your view changed surrounding AI? Like what was it at the start and what is it now?
That's a really good question. Let me take a second and think about that.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Yeah, I think at the beginning I thought of it as more of like a Google search replacement. And now I see it as like my second brain, my second companion. And not only am I asking ChatGPT about like project management questions, like when do I need to do this? I'm asking it for its like legitimate opinion about the work that I'm doing.
Almost like a thought partner.
Yeah.
Instead of just searching for answers.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you used the what's it called, the conversation tool on the new ChatGPT on the phone? Because it freaks me out. Like it's scary how human it is, and you can practically ask it questions, but you could also have a conversation with it. Like I was thinking, like it could almost be like it could be used in therapy. Like instead of getting a therapist, what would happen if you had someone talk about their feelings to OpenAI's interface, right? How do you think AI will be integrated into our life differently? Because after I saw that, I was like, wow, this is more than just a question, answer.
Yeah.
This has the potential to be so much more. Where do you think AI, with your knowledge, because I don't know as much as you, but where do you think AI could be in 10 years?
Yeah. Where could AI be in the next 10 years? I mean, if you look at the course of human history, we had the agricultural revolution, we had the industrial revolution, and then we went through the informational revolution with the rise of the internet, and now we're hitting the artificial intelligence revolution. It's that big. So the rate of change is exponential, which is so exciting. It's going to be interweaved in every single aspect of our entire lives moving forward. And even though if you want to like remove yourself from it, which a lot of people who I have met while I was traveling, they don't want to do anything with AI, that's okay. They're still going to be affected by it. So I think drug discovery is going to be incredible in the next 5 to 10 years. We're going to see more drug inventions than we've ever seen in the last 20, 30, 40 years. Jobs are going to radically change. The people who don't use AI tools are going to be left out. But the people who do use them, they're going to be 10 to 100 times more productive. If you're a programmer and then you use AI, you're going to be a 100x programmer. In the home, AI is going to be used for robotics, right? Where every household is going to have its own personal robot, like an iPhone. They're going to be folding laundry. They're going to be talking back. They're going to be your personal companion. Within the factory line, there's going to be no more human workers working in the factories. It's all going to be robotics powered by AI. So it's going to touch every single element, even food production. Right.
I was going to say, because you went to your permaculture thing, how do you think AI could be integrated into that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. We're obviously going through a climate crisis right now. And in certain areas, we need to preserve water. In other areas, we need to redirect water because there's too much of it. In some parts of the world, we have pests that are attacking our crops. In other parts of the world, we have famines. I think AI is going to be really good at predicting these sort of disasters for farmers. And also with robotics, it's going to really help out individual farmers in the cultivation of the crops themselves. And I think using AI tools to observe nature will be extremely useful, like biomimicry, to look how nature does things. AI models will be able to use a bunch of new materials that we haven't used before. So yeah, there's tons of applications.
Doesn't this like terrify you? Because for me, it sounds very dystopian. Because you've talked about how basically every single part of our lives could be affected, from personal to, you didn't really touch much on academics, but I can already tell you it's being impacted, and that'll only grow as AI grows. My only fear is that what will us humans be used for, or what will we be useful for? Because whenever I talk to my mom about this, I tell her, look, AI is great, but I saw it like you. At the start, like as a Google search, like a replacement, like a much better way to find information.
Yeah.
We're still going to have to think logically.
Yeah.
We're still going to have to know the correct prompt to give it to get the best out of what we want it to. But now that I hear you speak, and now that I've seen like the conversation tools on OpenAI, it's become so human-like that it can practically think for itself. And the fact that you use it as a thought partner, not just to ask for its information, but to ask for its genuine opinion, using all the information it has on what you do, it's almost very human-like.
Yeah.
Does none of this terrify you?
No, not at all. You know, it's a human can only remember so much.
Yeah.
Whereas an AI model remembers everything about you.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid of that. We're the AI's creator as well. You know, we can always turn it off.
Yeah. What do you think us humans will be used for then? Like, what will be our input into this world?
Yeah.
If AI can do all these things.
Yeah. I think humans are really good at caring for one another, for loving each other. I know it's kind of like, woohoo. But
no, I get that.
Yeah. Like, we're really good at creating community and looking out for each other. And then also creating art and music. And I just don't think a machine can outcompete a human's creativity.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think that's still where I find a bit of hope, is like, no matter what the AI has access to, it will never be able to come up with new things. It will just be able to interpret and kind of collect and present what's already out there in a much better way than humans can.
Yeah.
But it will never be able to expand those barriers.
Yeah.
You know, create new information. Do you think, yeah, so that's where I still have hope.
Yeah.
Right? Do you think that in terms of education,
Yeah.
I think AI is used a lot in education as well.
Yeah.
And I think my concern would be that I don't use AI much,
Yeah.
but the fact that I can and I do sometimes, it makes me very lazy. Because I can I'm just not learning. I'm able to get this information so quickly. Because you could argue that if you were to use Google with your homework, you still have to learn. Like, for example, although ChatGPT is not good at math, if I were to try and learn math from Google, I would still have to learn the concept through Google and apply it. With AI, it already applies it for me. So I'm not having to think as much.
Totally.
I don't think the solution is to ban AI, because that's just going to harm us in the long run.
And it's impossible.
It's impossible, like you said. What about the education system do you think needs to change to spark more creativity and incorporate AI into its education?
Yeah, so I agree with you. It's AI is completely going to change the way that education is actually like delivered, right? Reading and writing there's no way of controlling it. It's going to be AI enabled. So I think students need to be they need to be taught how to use AI in like a responsible way. So their first draft, their first edition should be all their own thoughts, and then they should use AI as the editing tools. And then I think students should be quizzed and tested verbally and in person with other humans.
Makes sense.
To prevent any sort of cheating that could go on.
What's your opinion on the whole Neuralink idea of putting chips in brains?
Yeah.
Because if that were to happen, and let's say you have open AI in your brain, even having someone in person, then it would be difficult to, determine that.
So yeah, let's just say that, like, if every person in the world had a chip like programmed in their head, and it's expanded like the size of your neocortex, the size of your brain by 2 times, I wouldn't be mad at that, to be honest.
You're just getting smarter at that point.
Yeah, we're just getting smarter, and I know it's not natural, quote unquote natural, but maybe this is how our creator, whomever, decided things to be. Like, we're evolving. This is another step in evolution. I wouldn't be mad about it.
You wouldn't be mad.
Yeah.
Besides, like, the ChatGPT is the most common one, right?
Yeah.
Do you use any other AI tools that I guess the common Joe could use in their everyday life that maybe we're not aware of?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this company that's, I think it was started in Stockholm, and it's called Lovable.dev. And it's a natural language tool where you can just type in something, type in a prompt, and it will generate a website, it will generate an app in like 2 seconds. And if you give it like design direction, it can be extremely beautiful. And so this enables people who don't have coding experience to radically and quickly develop prototypes in 2 seconds of like business ideas. So you can just type in on your computer and something pops up and you can show it to somebody. And
like a website or an application or... Okay.
It democratizes, coding for everybody.
Like we were talking about this outside, but let's say one of your business ideas, right? Let's say you're talking with someone and you guys are both really invested. You don't need to wait and pay someone to prototype a website. You could just ask this new bot, Lovable, to do it for you.
Yeah, Lovable. And
then just so you get like a rough idea of what you could work with or what it could look like.
100%. And it could be like a mock website, just testing the demand of your website. So you could be like, join the waiting list or something. So you don't even have to like develop your idea fully. You can just create
like kind of like a quick tester.
Yeah, a teaser.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you think in terms of, because I think it's going to become a very tech heavy world.
Yeah.
Right?
It already is.
It already is. And it's just leading more and more towards that. I want to get on to why you're here.
Yeah.
You're traveling the world. You quit your job at Belkin.
Yeah.
Where you worked for 12 years.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage. I mean, to think about the fact that gave you the opportunity to move to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
You worked so hard and you almost like rose up in the ranks. And to quit all that to travel for a year takes a lot of guts.
Yeah.
What made you come to that decision?
You only live one life.
That's right.
Yeah. So it was a really hard decision for me. And to be honest, I sometimes questioned myself where like I had something really good going on at my job and I was doing well. And not to mention the people I was working with. I had been working with them for so long. We've all been on the team for an average of 9 to 10 years. So at a certain point where they're like my brothers, it was a lot of guys and then one girl and my sister. And I still
Your sister also works at Belkin.
No, she was like my sister.
Yeah. I was like,
yeah, that would be really cool. Yeah, but like I still talk to my old coworkers on a daily basis, and I think that's what got me to be there for 12 years. Is just like the connections that we had made. It was such a special thing to be working with people for so long and really getting to know them.
It sounds like, and it must have been really emotional to quit a job like that. Like
it was.
Because you think about not just that you've been working there for 12 years, but that everybody around you was also in it for the long run.
Yeah.
And you guys all kind of grew up, worked together, kind of, changed as people. And when you surround yourself with people and you kind of see that change together, I think no matter what kind of personality they have, you guys always have this strong connection and bond. And I think it's incredible that you can find that in a workplace, because I don't think that's a common thing.
I don't think it's common either, and I don't think it's common for people in adulthood, right? Most people they grow up and their closest friends are their friends from their high school or their neighborhood, and then they go to university and they become friends with them, and then after that, they don't really make, new friends. And this was like my first job out of college. And, I rose through the ranks and I went to different teams. But this one team that I was on for the majority of the time, like 11 out of the 12 years, like they were like such good friends, Yeah.
And
so, I thought that was special.
Once you have that new discovered freedom of quitting your job and being able to travel the world. You have that mentality of, you only live once and let's go travel the world.
Yeah.
But I assume that it's not like, I assume there's a lot of planning that took place before you actually got to the airport, right?
Yeah.
How long did you actually plan this year out for?
That's a good question. It took like a year and a half, and I give most of the credit to Lena, my girlfriend, just because she's German and she loves planning and she loves making lists. So yeah, it took like a year and a half, but this dream has been a dream of ours for a long time, like even beyond that.
What kind of stuff are you preparing for in that year and a half? What are you planning for?
Yeah, it's a lot of it has to do with just like cutting back on your daily expenses, right? And saving and being intentional with your money. And so I've spent a lot of time learning about personal finance, going on Reddit, learning about the FIRE community, which stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. That community has taught me a lot of money management skills. I've read a lot of incredible books about saving money. Like there's this author, his name is Ramit Sethi. I think he's Indian American, and he has this book called I Will Teach You to Be Rich. I highly recommend it. It's an incredible book on how you can create systems in your daily life to save money, and a lot of it's passive, so you don't have to think about it. And he talks about the concept of living your rich life, and part of my imagined rich life has always been to travel the world for a year. And so to put that into action, I followed his advice.
In terms of the planning as well of like, yes, the finances are there, but also visiting different countries, right? You talked about how you chose countries that you thought would be hard to visit once you have children. And the whole point of this trip is to get all of that traveling out of your system, right?
Yeah.
In terms of choosing the countries, besides them not being maybe child friendly, how did you decide on what countries to pick? Because you can't go everywhere at the end of the day. Yeah,
so I wanted to find countries where there's like a really incredible activity that you could do or something that you could learn.
Okay.
So I mentioned before, Lane and I, we took a rickshaw from Jaisalmer down to Kochi City in 2 weeks. It was 3,500 kilometers. It was done with a company called The Adventurous, and we did a race called the Rickshaw Run. And that experience taught us so much about just life, waking up each day, driving a rickshaw through the Indian countryside and having to problem solve when the rickshaw broke down, talking to people that didn't speak one lick of English, it's like, and then even learning how to drive the rickshaw itself, it's like, it's all kind of throwing yourself out of your comfort zone. We chose to go to Nepal for the mountains, but we also did a 2-week permaculture course where we learned how to farm. That was like such a enriching experience because we really learned how and what it means to like be close to nature and to work with the rhythms of nature. And I'm originally like a city person, right? And that completely opened my eyes to the design of the world and the way that Mother Nature wants us to be and how far removed we are from Mother Nature. And it kind of questioned to myself, like how like I am acting with nature. So Nepal, we chose to go to Nepal for the permaculture course, the rickshaw race for India. We chose to go to Ethiopia because Ethiopia had always just been a dream of mine. I love Ethiopian food. So I wanted to learn about Ethiopian cuisine. And then we went to the Philippines because we wanted to do this incredible boat experience where you're on a boat and it's with this social entrepreneurship company that's been in operation for over 20 years, and it's called Tao. And you're on this like wooden boat and you go from island to island to island. And the people that work the boat are paid a living wage and they're treated extremely well. And it was just like a really cool experience to see how a business can be designed to support everybody. It can support the people working there. It can support us. And it was just like a 5-star like experience all around in the way that they designed it. And seeing like a social entrepreneurship program be so successful was quite inspiring, and it was a learning experience.
You talked about how like there are all these moments in different countries that kind of changed like your perspective on the world, right?
Yeah.
But how do you feel like you have changed as a person throughout this year, like in terms of your values and what you stand for?
Yeah, I mean, I really recognize, like, when I'm saying this right now, I've lived such a privileged life, and the people I deal with on a daily basis in some of these countries, they'll never have the opportunity to do this. So it really put into perspective how lucky I am. So I'm just really trying to be grateful for how I've gotten to this point, and it really makes me want to help people. When I come back to Amsterdam and when I put my working energy into my next project, I want to really see how I can help somebody. And if that means volunteering or encouraging other people to volunteer or whatever it is, I'm just so grateful for all the things that have happened.
I think one thing about traveling is that it can be really fun, and you see all these different places, you change your perspective, you learn a lot. Yeah. And although I haven't done this like year-long travel, from my short travels here and there, I do learn a lot, about the world. Yeah. Because I feel like sometimes when you stay in the same country, you think that is the world. And then you go out and you see the way different people act and how they live their ways of life and how it's different to yours and how there are different ways of doing things. Yeah. There is so much to learn from different parts of the world, right? Yeah. But I think one thing about travel is it can be really challenging. Yeah. You talked about how you did a Vipassana retreat. Yeah. And you kind of, 10 days of silence. That just sounds super challenging to me. Do you think that was the most challenging part of the travel so far? Or what part of the travel do you think pushed you the most?
Yeah, I think that was definitely the hardest thing that I've done. That was my second time doing it. And Vipassana is it's a 10-day sort of silent retreat where you're meditating for 11 hours a day. You go up and down as you can imagine while you're in your own head, and your mind is constantly telling you to go different places than the present. And that was just hard. It's just hard in general. I'm so used to being distracted by technology, and sort of the low moments, and also even in the high moments when I want to share things with friends and everything. I'm on my phone, and so to have that loss of connection, and just to sit with myself and to really go through my own thoughts, it's quite confronting. And not everybody needs to do like a 10-day silent retreat. That sounds quite extreme, but I highly recommend that people carve out some time of their day or maybe even their week without technology to really hone in on how they're actually feeling at a certain moment.
I feel like Vipassana, if you do it, it can be very challenging, but I feel like you learn a lot about yourself because it's just yourself. It's not like you're talking to people there about their experiences. It's literally all about you. Yeah. And it's not about you with other people, it's you with yourself, right? Yeah. And I feel like that can be a place where you learn a lot about yourself that you probably didn't know. Yeah. Right? Did you ever have those feelings? What did you learn about yourself?
Yeah, so the first time I did Vipassana was in Belgium, and I had some low moments. And so what I really realized is like, wow, I don't really know how to process my own emotions. And that's what prompted me into actually finding a therapist for the first time. And so I got a therapist when I was in the Netherlands, and that really helped me out on the way that I deal with my own feelings. So I learned a ton about myself, is that sometimes you can benefit from somebody else to be there.
What about the second time?
The second time, I think it's a continuation of what I learned the first time, and is I'm like my worst own critic, and so it's like to be like less hard on myself because I didn't do something right or I didn't say something correctly. It's just like to give myself more grace. And so in these like challenging moments, recognize that these voices that are in my head, which is my own thought process, are telling me to feel a certain way, but in reality, that's just like my ego talking to me, and that's not true of how I want to be.
Do you think Vipassana can be for everyone? Like, do you think it works in the way it worked for you?
No, it's not for everybody. I don't think. I think you have to seek it. It's not a cure to anything.
No, you can't force yourself to do it.
Yeah. No. I think you should have a meditation practice at some point, or try before you embark on something like this. Yeah.
How did you come across Vipassana?
Yeah, I have a friend who lives in Amsterdam who had done it, and I really respect his opinion. He's an incredible man. His name's Tyle, and he's an older guy, and he's been living in Amsterdam for his entire life. And when I moved over to Amsterdam, he taught me all of like the secrets and his stories of the city, because the city itself has so many side narratives and beautiful, colorful sort of stories.
How old were you when you went in?
20 to Vipassana?
Yeah.
So I was 32.
32 the first time?
32 the first time, yeah.
And then 35 on this trip?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a lot of respect for people who do that, because it can be, although you're really doing nothing, it can be really mentally draining.
It can.
And I think one thing that I found surprising was you talked about like how your body also begins to hurt.
Yeah.
That was not something that I expected.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it would be like really relaxing and calm, but it's actually pretty intense.
Yeah, it can be quite painful. But one of the core principles you learn through the Vipassana retreat is the concept of anicca, which is the Pali word for impermanence. So I touched on it earlier when I talked about ultra running, is that pain is temporary. So as the pain comes in your body, it's there, but then it also goes away. And same with pleasure. When you eat a nice ice cream or so, that pleasure is there, but it's not going to last forever. And so our ego, what it likes to do is push that pain away, because it's painful. And then also with the pleasure, we like to cling on to it. We crave for more. And so to be silent with yourself for 10 days in a row, you really see how your mind is trying to cling and push away things.
How do you think we should deal with that craving for pleasure and that like kind of pushing away pain?
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that needs to be combated?
Yes, I do. And I think people are programmed better to manage those things. And I think some of the most successful people in the world have a really good sort of skill to manage both of those. I think a lot of successful people have a lot of incredible impulse control. They're say, I'm willing to work 10 hours this week because I know that my business is going to go 100% better or something like that. It's like they're willing to withhold the immediate gain for the long-term vision. So if you can train that in yourself and get better with that every single day, I think you're growing as a person.
What's the most painful thing that you've experienced? Not like just physical, but just in your life in general.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I have an older brother, and he actually passed away 3 years ago, and because of COVID, not because of COVID, but throughout his entire life, he had a drug problem, and it started with smoking like lots of weed at a young age. And then he continued with smoking weed so much, and like the weed is extremely powerful in California because it's been legalized, that he kind of like isolated himself socially, and he didn't develop as like a person, as a man, as I think he could have, unfortunately. And in 2020, because of the lockdowns, he was really isolated. You know, he went to work each day, but after COVID, he was at home.
This is your older brother?
Older brother, yeah. He was working in the movie business as a location scout. So he was in charge of finding the places that they would film. He was in charge of managing the places when they found the place, like people going in and out. And so because of COVID, he wasn't going to work anymore. So every day he was smoking weed and he was playing video games. And then one day I got a call from him, and he told me that he started using hard drugs like heroin and fentanyl and all of that. And being, thousands of miles away in Amsterdam, it's quite painful to hear that from your brother.
Did he only tell you?
At a certain point, he only told me, and I had to make the decision if I'd tell my parents or not. And of course, I told my parents. Yeah. So it snowballed, went out of control. And within the span of 2 years, from 2020 to 2022, he progressively got worse. And his mental state got like, he's just started deteriorating and started getting crazy. And it had to do with the hard drugs and also the copious amount of weed that he was smoking at the same time. And one thing led to the other, and he took his own life. And I was there for the whole entire process and being with him the whole entire time. So having to bear that and love him throughout that process, it was quite painful. And it was a slow process of 2 years, slow and fast at the same time.
How did it, do you remember your emotions that kind of rushed you when you first got that phone call? For those 2 years, I'd been anticipating that phone call for so long that it was just like sadness, just pure sadness. How do you deal with and channel that kind of sadness?
Yeah, running helps. Running, and then also I'm fortunate to have incredible friends in Amsterdam, an incredible community. I've gotten a lot closer to my parents, I'm like I love my parents so much, and they were incredible throughout my whole entire life. And it's such a shame that they had to go through that. So our relationship has gotten closer since that huge moment of grief.
I think my whole concept of starting this podcast were to hear stories like yours.
Yeah.
Super inspiring.
Yeah.
I think it's because we don't go through stuff that's similar, but we all have that hard moment in life that changes you and that helps you grow.
Yeah.
Right? How would you say you grew from such a tragic experience? Because I feel like it can consume you at one point, and it can feel like nothing is right in the world.
Yeah.
And like a loss of hope. How do you regain that hope, and how do you grow from such a low moment?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's not a day where I don't think of him, or I think about what happened. I've told you earlier of all of my passions in life and all of like traveling around the world and all of that. And I kind of joked when I said, you only live once, YOLO, but
Yeah.
Having him die really taught me that like, you really do only live one life, and you can choose to be happy, you can choose to be sad, and it's up to you to really control that. Unfortunately, my brother, he wanted to escape life, right? He chose to use substances and not really confront the demons that he had. And so ever since then, I drink way less alcohol. I'm trying to be present. Lane and I, we constantly do yoga, we do meditation, because we realize that the present is all that we have. And to find the beauty and the magic that you can make in the present, it's like it only takes a couple sentences of gratitude and of love to make someone else's day incredible. So it's up to you to be happy.
I feel like that's just such a beautiful note to end on, and I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing everything, Greg, for in the cryptocurrencies and ChatGPT and traveling the world with all this joy that you and Lena radiate. Thank you so much for coming to Nepal, and thank you so much for making time to come on my podcast before you leave.
Yeah, it's been such a pleasure, Manav. Like, honestly, like it's been so fun to like go through all these topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I hope you did too.
I did.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Vyas Media Network.